All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Combiner Wars Legends Class Powerglide. And yeah, I've always really liked this figure. I feel like he's a lot of fun and makes for a really nice looking little Powerglide here. He obviously turns into some facsimile of the Warthog plane that the original one turned into, but just different enough that they can avoid like trademark issues or whatever. But yeah, no, it's a pretty good looking little plane mode there. I just have a weird thing where like the wings kind of like bow up slightly, and that's not like, the pieces just not pegging in properly. Like that is actually an intentional bit of the sculpt there. So I've never been in love with that, but it's not really the end of the world. Some people also have had issues with this back section not like staying tabbed together and kind of pushing itself apart. Mine's always been kind of fine. Like if there's like a small gap there, but it doesn't like eject apart or anything, and I feel like that looks fairly fine. It's not a super noticeable seam line or anything like that. Also, a little bit annoying that these bits don't have like a locking position. They're not like a loose hinge or anything, but you do kind of just have to like line them up and not touch them because they're really easy to kind of bump out of place. But all little nitpicks, like yeah, his arms are hanging out under there, but the original Powerglide was kind of like that as well. But yeah, overall I really like this little alt mode. He's got 3 landing gear here, one in the front that folds up, and then these 2 in the back. They're just kind of sculpted onto the what will be the robot mode feet. So he does kind of sit at a weird little angle there, but that's fine. And then obviously if you want to fold this one up, you can. And he's a pretty fun swooshable little plane here. I really like the design, and also the shade of red that they use too is that kind of nice burgundy deep red, which I feel like works really well for Powerglide. So I'm glad that they got the color just right there. But yeah, in terms of a comparison in this mode, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. So you can see like, obviously the scale doesn't work, but like, the scale for Powerglide never really works, or, most of the other season 2 mini bots, just because like they're all supposed to be like little guys, but they turn into kind of like enormous vehicles. So like, he's a plane, he's in the sky. You can't tell how far away he is. Maybe he just turns into a small plane. It works well enough for me. But yeah, it's obviously it doesn't really scale there super properly, but that's okay. It was kind of to be expected with this character. Now, just like the other Combiner Wars Legends class figures, he does have a sort of like tertiary gun mode that are meant for the combiners to hold. This guy was originally marketed to be kind of like part of the Superion team. I don't really display him with them. I just kind of put him with my season 2 guys, but notionally, just because they had to pair up the existing like Legends class guys with the existing combiners, they some of them became chest plates and stuff, and some of them became weapons, and this guy was meant to go with Superion. I didn't really feel like transforming all those guys to make Superion, so I'll just show him off with Sideswipe. But yeah, to get to his weapon mode, basically you want to take the wings here, and they'll kind of untab from the side here, and then you rotate them around like this, and then this slot corresponds to this tab here, so you just fold it up like that. You leave the landing gear out because this actually becomes the handle in the gun mode here. You want to just kind of like separate this section so you can take this back panel and fold it up like this, and it's got a little like a targeting thing on it, which is kind of neat. And then you take the thrusters here, and they're on sliders, and they'll actually slide back like that. They can just kind of like slide right off, which is a little bit annoying sometimes, and this side in particular is like kind of tight. Yeah, when that's not tabbed in, these do have slightly more of an issue staying tabbed together, but still not too bad. But yeah, you just pull this up. It's only really going that far, but yeah, I'll just bring this one back to meet it a little bit. But yeah, that one slider is a little bit tight for whatever reason, but either way still works. And then for the little back fins here, you can either kind of like fold them up like this, or I think what you're supposed to do is fold them down like this. I've gone back and forth. I feel like both look okay. When they're like this, I guess notionally they are kind of like blocking the missile pods on the back of his arms a little bit. But yeah, there we have him in his gun mode. And yeah, I like this gun mode. I think it looks pretty good. It looks a little bit like Powerglide, just kind of, hanging out with his face down. But still, I like how they use the thrusters for like a triple barrel back here. I like how they put the missile pods on the back of his robot mode arms to like make these pieces have like a use in this mode. And the little spot of blue there with the targeting is also fun, even though like you can't I don't know how well you're using that as targeting, since there's no like section on the other side, but whatever. Bring on Sideswipe here. Obviously, he works better with, like bigger figures. He's really meant for combiners, but you can even have figures like Sideswipe hold him, and I feel like that still looks pretty cool. But yeah, no, I think he's one of the better gun modes of the Combiner Wars Legends class figures. But yeah, to get onto the rest of the robot mode transformation, pretty much what you want to do is just slide these back into place like they were. Untab the legs here, and then take these sections with the wheels here and just fold them up to be his feet. And then after you've done that, you can take these panels and just fold them onto the back of his legs here. We'll rotate him around, just fold away the landing gear here. We can take his arms, they'll untab from the wings there and just hinge open just like that. Or just come straight off the ball joint. Okay, that works too. That does not usually happen. And then you take this whole section with the main, like cockpit and everything, and it will double hinge down. And then while you're double hinging it down, it's way easier to rotate the head around now, just because when it's in between the wings, it's hard to get a good grip on it. But you basically want to take the head, just rotate it around, and then fold this whole section like that. So we'll sit into the body and just kind of bring this piece back as a back plate there. And there we have Powerglide in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks fantastic. I really like the way this guy turned out. Yeah, I mean, visually, if you don't like the little like back panel there with the blue thing, like you could fold it up like that so it's not, visible from the front, but then it sticks way out like that. It doesn't really bother me, but it does mess with the silhouette slightly. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head is on a swivel, so it can rotate around like that. And great looking head sculpt there. I love the way that looks. It's pretty much just like spot on. The arms are on ball joints at the shoulders, which can rotate around and go out to the side. He doesn't have a thigh or a bicep swivel, unfortunately, which is something that I've seen people complain about a lot with this figure. Honestly, I didn't even notice it until someone pointed it out. Like, I feel like it's way less detrimental to the figure than like, the lack of a thigh swivel on Swerve, for example, from Thrilling 30. But yeah, it is noticeable. Luckily, like the ball joints for the shoulders have like at least a tiny bit of range, so his arms don't feel like super, static or anything. He just can't like bring his arms across his body or anything, which definitely is a little bit annoying. He's got a nice deep elbow bend there for transformation. Nothing at the waist. Hips are on ball joints, which can go forward, back. You kind of have to move the panel out of the way, and they still only go about that far. And out to the side, he's got ball joints at the knees there, which give him a thigh swivel and about 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And then the feet, they don't have tilt or anything, but you can use that transformation joint to kind of like bend them forward a little bit, so you can kind of adjust the he can adjust his feet forward a little bit, which is kind of nice. It's useful for some poses. So yeah, decent articulation. Really just the main thing is the lack of the bicep swivel. But in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, and then here he is with Kingdom Rat Trap, just so you can see what he looks like with an average core class figure as well. Obviously pretty much about the same size as him. But yeah, no, that's pretty much all there is to Powerglide. I like this figure a lot. I do hope that we get a new like deluxe Powerglide eventually, just to like scale better with the other new deluxe mini bots we've been getting. But yeah, no, this is a great little figure, and if all the other mini bots were like this guy's scale, I'd be completely satisfied with him. Like, yeah, he doesn't have the bicep swivel, but I can live without it. He's just such a great looking figure. And I really hope that when they make a new Powerglide, because, they've been going through all the mini bots, so I'm sure it'll happen in the next, couple of years. I really hope that they don't like cheat for getting the actual nose cone being his head, because I don't know, they tend to like to do that on a lot of figures where it's not totally necessary. But, I could see them doing that just for the sake of giving him a ball jointed head, whereas I'd much rather him just have like a regular swivel and have a head designed kind of like that. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when they come to it. I could see it going either way. But yeah, no, great looking little figure. Really fun in both modes. Honestly, really fun in all three modes. I like his weapon mode a lot. And yeah, really only problem I have with him is just the lack of a bicep swivel. But other than that, I think he's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Combiner Wars Legends Class Powerglide.